Welcome to WebEOC. WebEOC is a crisis information management portal designed to manage and track all aspects of significant events or incidents. Boards are designed to record, request, and report on all functions necessary to carry out a successful response. Situation updates are recorded in WebEOC as they occur. This provides all responders with instant access to the same data as the event unfolds. All data becomes part of the permanent event record. Designed as a crisis management resource, WebEOC is capable of much more. Many jurisdictions use it to manage daily operations. It's used to plan and monitor special events. Miami and Atlanta both used WebEOC to coordinate all agencies and aspects involved with the Super Bowl. Tampa will as well in 2021. The city of Boston uses WebEOC to coordinate the Boston Marathon as part of their daily operations. When two bombs detonated in 2013, law enforcement didn't waste valuable time tracking down information. Every aspect of the event was recorded in WebEOC. They were able to hit the ground with their feet running. Monroe County uses WebEOC primarily to request and track resources during an incident, as well as a centralized document repository. We monitor the status of the county and its municipalities and critical components of our infrastructure. Rights are assigned by position, not user. Anyone performing the same function can access the identical records. This allows for continuity of performance in an expanding incident spanning multiple operational periods. It also means you may not see the same features or boards as those around you, including those presented in this tutorial. Let's take a closer look at WebEOC basics. You're looking at the login screen. Your login name is going to be your first and last name with a space between them. Default password assigned to first-time users is 123456. You will be prompted to change that password with your first login. You won't see that here because I have logged into WebEOC before. On the next screen, you'll be able to choose your position and the incident that you're responding to. Your position is, as I described, whatever function you're performing for the particular event. Most of you will only have one position to choose from. Others will have a drop-down arrow that has more than one listed. You will not see this many. This is my admin account I'm using for purpose of the tutorial. But many of you may have two listed. Again, depending on what function you're performing, please select the right one for whatever you're trying to do at that moment, because you will give you the rights that you need. If you choose the wrong one, you will not be able to create records or edit ones that you'll need for whatever purpose you're fulfilling. Incident, Web EOC is divided into incidents. You'll see here COVID-19. This is the default incident we're all using right now, as this is being recorded during activation for that incident. Other ones have been for Hurricane Dorian. There's also training and exercise incidents within here. As I mentioned before, all the data that you enter becomes part of that permanent record if it is an actual incident. So if you're going to practice on your own, and I encourage you to do so, please make sure you're logged into this user training September 2019 incident. As you're going through this, you tend to get a little bit creative, and we don't want FEMA asking why you wanted 3 sheep sent over to the Marathon Government Center during COVID-19. So make sure if you're an actual incident, that's what you've selected. If not, use a training incident. The next screen you'll see is additional login information. That's identifying information that I do use under different events. If I'm updating a feature or something and I need to reach out to one segment of our society, say hospitals or utilities, this lets me know who I need to contact to let them know the updates, how to reach them. Please confirm that that is complete and that all information is current and accurate. Make any changes necessary and select continue. This will take you to the WebEOC homepage. You'll see on your homepage notifications. If we have any system messages or anything I need will be posted right here when you log in, as well as my contact information. WebEOC data is divided into a series of different boards that capture the data for a specific function. These boards are going to be here on your control panel. You'll click this drop-down menu to access your control panel. And again, all of what you see right here may not be available to you. In fact, it will not be. Some of it are just boards that I'm trying to develop or taking a look at that other jurisdictions did and see if they'd be a good fit for us. So these are not all available boards. However, the battle rhythm is one that we use during activation. It gives us the schedule of the daily meetings for that day. Before I launched that, you saw there was a star to the left of it. What that means is that new information had been added to that board since the last time I logged in. If you want the board to pop out in a separate browser session, you'll click this arrow to the right of it. I would do so, but it won't capture on the recording here. But that's handy to have because then you can look at that. If you want to look at two different boards and compare information from one to the other, copy and paste because you need the same information in more than one place, it's really handy to be able to pop it out in its own browser session. One of the first boards we're going to look at here today is the EOC Activation Staffing Board. When you're logged into an event, even if it's a training session, it's one of the first things you'll do. You'll sign in using this board. Most of the information that you've used on login is already pre-filled for you. You'll choose your assignment if you know what section that you're assigned to. I'm in the planning section. Order request number is if you're providing mutual aid to another jurisdiction or if someone from outside of Monroe County is helping us here, their mission number would be included in their order request number, and that's for accounting tracking purposes. So they would enter that number here. That's not required field, but your home unit or agency is. As you can see, I'm Monroe County Emergency Management, so I would put MCEM. The date and time that you're doing this is going to be pre-filled, so they have a record of exactly when you logged in, and you'll save the record. At the end of your shift, you'll sign out the same way using the same board. You'll click on Sign Out. And you'll see I did log in earlier today. But next to your name only, you'll see an option to sign out or delete that sign in. I'm duplicated this, so I'm going to delete this once we're done looking at it. But I can't affect anybody else that's already logged into the event. I don't have that option. Your sign out board is going to look exactly like your sign in did, except it'll have all the information you entered earlier. And you'll just click, all you have to do is click save. It's got your sign out time displayed right there. As I said, I'm just going to delete this one instead. I'm not saving it, but if I saved it, I would have signed myself out of this event. During an event, all of the IAPs will be added to the IAP board. Each operational period, you'll be able to grab the most recent IAP and download it to your computer just using the icon. As you'll see in this incident of this size, we have our municipalities are uploading theirs to the same board as well, Isle Morada, Key Largo. At any point, you'll be able to just download that and keep track of what everybody's plans are and monitor what their role in the situation is up to this point. Another handy board during activations is the situation report. And that is exactly what it means. Every day, a new SITREP is published. That gives a current state of affairs. In this case, with this large event, the state and Department of Health are issuing one as well as the county. All you need to do is just click on the icon and you can download the current SITREP as it is issued. You have instant access. A couple other handy boards that we're not going to go into too much detail on in this video, but just to know that they're available. There's a contacts board that can serve as your Rolodex. For you old folks, know what a Rolodex is. Your address, your phone list here. For everybody that you're working with right there in the EOC or may need to contact, you don't have to go outside of WebEOC to grab a phone number if you need it really quick. You can create private contacts just to use for yourself, or you can have shared contacts that you can use with the group. There's also a checklist that you can create, and it's exactly as it sounds. You can create a record, make a new checklist for a project you're working on, add the items that you're using that need to be done. The first one I have here is write an outline. My second checklist item may be to, and we're going to number these because you can renumber them as the event goes on, as priorities change. My second checklist item may be to rehearse my scripting. If you wanted to attach a file to that for somebody else who's looking at it to help you with or refer to, you may. Once it's complete, you can just click complete and they'll come off your list. Save it. And you now have checklist items that as you finish them, which obviously my outline is finished, I'm going to mark it complete. It's going to timestamp it and I'll save it. And I know that that was done. When you finish each board, you may either just close them by clicking the X in the corner here, or you can control all of them with this little arrow on the top right here to either activate a board that you're looking at, or close all of them at one time. And while I do, before I have closed them all and have multiple boards open, I want to point out that if you do have multiple boards open and somebody were to add something to a board you have open, the tab here would change colors. So you would know that there's some new information there while you're right in there and you can look right away and grab it off of there for your use. We're going to close all tabs. And what we're going to do now is going to go over the one that we use most often here during activations in Web EOC. First, I'll show you the file library. File library is our official document repository for everything in Monroe County. Master folder list contains documents that will be here for perpetuity. Once something's in Web EOC, it does not get deleted. You may be able to remove it from the screen, what you're looking at, which is what that delete means. You won't have to look at it anymore, but it's still going to live on in the background. Everything we do here is a matter of public record and does need to be retained. So if there's anything that you want stored that be for the good of the order and that everybody can be referring to going forward, we have ICS forms. Finance has some administrative forms and job tools that they've uploaded. There's WebEOC tutorials and documentation right here. We're going to take a look at the COVID-19 folder right now. This is what we are using for this event. So the master folder is going to display everything here in chronological order as it was added. Subfolders for items that are frequently used are available too, as well as on the chronological section. But if you just want to grab a declaration or SITREP or whatever it may be, they'll all be in one handy place there. So that's something you'll be referring to quite often is the file library. What we used most often is the Resource Request Task Assignment board. This is where we will order anything that we may need as part of our assignment here, as part of an ongoing incident, anything we need for operational purposes. And you'll see here we already have 205 requests in at this time for items that different units have requested in response to this COVID-19 incident. To create an incident of your own, you'll just click on Create Record. Anything with a red asterisk is a required field, and you can just mouse over the question mark for a description of what we're looking for in that field. The title is going to be just something short, so I'm going to say tutorial demonstration. Priority is determined on the scale right here. We don't really have much of a priority for this, so we'll just put routine. Purpose is going to be to display proper board usage. These are just going to be brief here until you get to this description field. This is where you're going to add every detail of your request. You have to be as complete and accurate as you can possibly imagine. Here's where you're going to tell if you're say trying to get a generator, what watt generator do you need? Can it be something that you're going to be able to put on a transfer switch and run out of an electrical system? Do you need propane, or does it run on gasoline? And if it needs propane or gasoline, are you going to need that fuel supply as well? Is the generator going to be somewhere that needs additional equipment to mount it? Are you going to need a crane to put it into place? And if you do you need someone to operate that crane? Is there a platform in place for the generator? Does that need to be constructed first? So every detail of your request needs to be in there to be complete, because if there are any questions at all, this request is going to come back to you from the operations chief, who is the first to review it. And it's going to delay having your request processed. Be as complete as you can possibly be. Also consider that the first person looking at this might be someone providing mutual aid from Colorado, or someone that is not familiar with the item that you're requesting. So do not use acronyms. They do not know that FKEC is the electrical co-op here. They're going to scratch their head. We did have an incident though during Hurricane Irma that someone requested a communication on wheels and just put COW. The person that was processing their request actually requested a cow, a farm animal, a bovine. Fortunately, that got caught right away and it was not delivered. But do not use acronyms. Be complete in your description. Make sure that anybody reading it who's not familiar with what you're trying to describe can process it for you. If it's an item that you're requesting as a resource, then you'll check it there. If you're requesting a task assignment, for example, you need a road clearing crew, that's a task assignment. You don't have anything specific that you're saying, but you'll say, I need 4 people to remove large debris off of County Road 905. And at that point, they can drill down to exactly what you need and how to process that task assignment. Whether or not the resource is met locally or elevated to the state will be handled by logistics. Once they take a look at your request, they'll see if we have it in the state or if we have a contract for something of that type. And then they'll decide whether they can meet it here. You don't need to worry about that. Your resource item is a drop-down list of anything you can conceivably need. Pull off of the drop-down list. Unit of measure and quantity are fairly self-explanatory. And if you have a time limit you need it by, please let them know so they can process accordingly. Pick out the date picker. But you do need to choose the date, the time prior to the date with this, because as soon as you click on that date, it's going to save it for you as what you've clicked on there. You need to provide both primary and secondary contact information. This is if somebody has a question about this request, who do they ask? If you're not sitting in your office chair, who can they find instead? Just use my contact info. We'll pre-fill with the information you used at login. If there's an alternate phone, use that as well. Do not give your office phone number if you're out in the field or deployed to the EOC. Nobody will be at your desk to answer that phone. Make sure it's somewhere that you can be reached. Same goes true for your secondary contact information. I'm just going to do this so it feels required. If it's a location name, where is this resource going to be shipped to? If not, the local staging area, if it's going to be shipped to a separate location, or if you're requiring personnel, where do they report? We'll just put our HQ in there because I use this often enough to pre-fill all of this for you. And then you're going to click on the map. That's going to make sure that it's tracking it to the right spot. If it is in the right spot, you only need click save. If it doesn't come up in the right spot, you can just click where it should be instead. It'll save it in that location, and then you click save. So any delivery driver or whomever is bringing it will know exactly where you're located. Delivery instructions. Is the location somewhere? Do you need a forklift to offload it? Is the delivery door easy to find? Entrance around back? Drive around the building twice to find us? Whatever information you can provide that makes it easier to find and offload your equipment. On-scene point of contact would be whoever they can question, who's going to be on the scene at that delivery location that knows about your order. If it's somewhere that you'll be, you can use your own contact info to pre-fill. If not, fill in the name of a contact information who's going to be familiar with your request. When creating the request, you're going to assign it to the operations chief. To the operations chief. And you may attach up to 4 files. Pretty descriptive. I am not going to save this. At this point, you would click save. But as I said earlier, if I do that logged into an actual event, it becomes part of the permanent record. So I'm just going to cancel this out for display purposes only. If your request does come back to you, you can just click the edit button and fix whatever information they ask for. Once it is at this phase, it will already be approved by the section chief. So that'll be down on the bottom. Any attachments, here's where the attachments are. Here is the section chief. If you launch that edit screen prior to the section chief coming back to you, you'd have to cancel out of it because you cannot get past the section chief section without it being approved by a section chief, and you don't have those rights. What you're seeing here is each status. Every time there's a change in status, it needs a comment so we know who was handling what and where, what point the request is currently at. And again, cancel out of here. You have the option too, because these will get kind of daunting. We have 9 pages of these at this point. My items, you can look at either those assigned to you. If they bounce it back, they'll assign it to you. And again, it's position. So if it's assigned to your position, you'll see any that were assigned to whoever's filling that role in my requests. Again, anybody that in your position has requested. And then your screen will be far less. I did not do any for this incident, so you would not see any results if I clicked on that, but you can feel free to do that in the practice sessions and see how that goes. The view is a recap of the request. Or you can skip to either the imagery, which is in this one, they did not go to that map. You can see it doesn't have a location here. Had they done what we did in the last step, it would have an arrow, and when you clicked on it, it would zoom right into the street level view that we saw when we pulled that up there. You can again view any of the comments that have been added, add your own, view if you wanted to see the attachments. Here's where you would take a look and download it so you have it on your own computer. We're just going to go back up to the top and return to our master list at this point because we do not want to save anything out of text here. Now, these are just a couple of the boards that we do use most often. Feel free to glance around and look at anything you see on your control panel. We have boards that track our county status or a municipality status. And that's all the essential elements that we're tracking at any time. We have boards that track shelter status, hospital status, utility status. It's all right here, so everybody is abreast of the same information. That was WebEOC in a nutshell. I'm going to leave this home screen up for a minute or two so you can take note of my contact information. Feel free to reach out to me at any time. Just take a look around, get familiar with the boards and the value of the information that they contain. If you have ideas for other information we can capture on some of these boards, are you involved in a project that you think WebEOC may be helpful, just don't hesitate to reach out to me directly with any questions, comments, or suggestions you may have. Thank you for using WebEOC. WebEOC tutorial out.